So if this is familiar to you, you set a New Year's resolution at the start of the year, come end of the year, you don't know where the time has gone, you don't have much to show for it, a whole bunch of excuses, and next year, rinse and repeat, carry on for last 5 years, as an example. So this year, I really thought about like, what do I have to do, and gone down the rabbit hole of what do I need to do so that I can make sure that I'm sticking to my resolutions, because it's all fun and games at the beginning of the year. We're excited, the fireworks or whatever it is you're doing, kind of hanging out for the New Year's, and then the new year comes, and I'm shooting this video on the 18th of Jan 2026, and in about a month, New Year's resolutions for a lot of people will just become vibes. And I went down the rabbit hole of making sure, how do I make sure that is not me at the end of 2026? In this video, I'm going to share with you 4 systems that I am using actively to make sure that my New Year's resolutions stick. And the reason why I'm doing this is that the truth is, New Year's resolutions and goals, they actually don't change your life. If they did, a lot of people would actually be living the lives that they want to live. What you do every day does. And that's the reason why I'm focused more on systems. I've defined where it is that I want to go, and now I'm creating the systems that help me get there. So if you set up your systems correctly, which is what you do every single day, and they're moving you in the right direction, then hitting your goal, if you think about it, is almost impossible, right? So then how do we create systems? I'm going to take you through that. But before I do, I'm going to give you an example. Okay, so the example that I'm going to give you is from a book by James Clear called Atomic Habits, which is a book that I absolutely love. And in his book, he talks about a basketball coach, for example. If a basketball coach was training his team, and for example, he completely ignored that his goal was the championship, and he set up systems, assuming the systems are sound to win the championship, then he would get there. And so some of the examples that he gives here on the system that would be sound would be running the right drills on every practice. It would be improving shooting mechanics by like 1% every single time. It would be building conditioning consistency. So like the players are getting stronger and stronger. It would be reinforcing teamwork and discipline every single day. So according to James Clear, if you're running the right systems every single time, then the goal, aka your New Year's resolution, should take care of itself. So essentially what we're saying is that when you have good systems, then good results come. So good results are off the back of good, consistent systems that you're running all the time. See, I used to have this understanding, and this is what I used to think. I used to think if I want these big results at the end of the year, I hadn't really tied consciously that it was actually as a result of the choices and the things that I was doing every single day. Like somehow, I don't know why, it just didn't click. What I want to share with you here is another example as well of like the little improvements that were done every single day that got the British Tour de France team to win the Tour de France multiple times. Okay, so before 2012, no British rider had actually won the Tour de France. And if you don't know about the Tour de France is an annual cycling competition where people come in from all over the world and go cycling all through France and finish off in central Paris. And there's a really cool documentary on Netflix if it's still on. So then the British team realized that they don't have a great track record. So what they did is that they only focused on marginal gains. It was like, okay, let's forget about winning the Tour de France. Let's just set up one of like the best training regimes that we possibly can. Let's get better 1% every single day. And then let's go see what happens when we do that. So what happened to the British team when they did that? What happened was between 2012 and 2019, that's 8 years, the British team won 7. That's 7 Tour de France's, 7 of the 8. So they made winning essentially impossible because of how they trained, because of how they recovered, because of how they lived, and because of how they raced. And so that's what systems are about. They're not about motivation. They're about just really defining what is it that I do every single day? What do I do every single week to make sure that winning, aka getting to my goals, is inevitable? And I'm sharing this like if you've been stuck, you've not been hitting your New Year's resolutions, maybe you've been feeling like, oh my God, I can't do this, or, this will just never work out for me. Yet possibly all you need to do is actually look at your systems and create better systems to help you get there. And that's what I'm going to share with you in a second. And here's the thing. If you're wanting a bigger life, there's be more that is expected of you. and it'll be having better systems that can support that bigger life. Because the thing is, when you don't have the systems to support you, like just daily life just starts feeling like it is such a drag. It just starts feeling like it's so hard when you're going big and your systems are pretty crappy. And I say that from experience. It gets very stressful. And this is what it looks like. You start missing important events. You have little willpower to do the hard things. Okay, so you're constantly stressed. You're getting crabby with your team all the time. And then what ends up happening is that you start associating a bigger life with just more stress, more pressure without the spaciousness to be able to process all that and actually even increase your capacity. Then you don't want to do it anymore. You then shrink and want to stay small. So now we're going to jump into the 4 systems that I've created to get to my goals in 2026. The first one, what I call the general and the soldier method. So the general and the soldier method, this is where I get very, very clear when it comes to my week, what it is that I want to do. And that the general, before the week starts, the general is deciding what is important for us to do this week. Why is it important? How does it tie into what we want to get to at the end of the year? And then from there, the general then takes the plan. The general has decided the plan. This is the most important thing. And I pick one important thing. Now, this is the thing. I'm also a little bit dyslexic. And what I realize is some people will go, no, you've got to pick 6 things. You've got to pick 10 things. You've got to pick 4 things. You've got to do all of these things. Like now, I have enough experience and enough trust with myself that if I just focus on one big thing, now this does not mean that it's the only thing I'm doing, because there are other things that I do need to do during the week, but it's the only one thing that I am hyper focused on. And I'm like, the week cannot end until this thing is done, and it ties up to where I want to get to at the end of the year. So even if I make a tiny little bit of progress, because I have all of this other stuff going on, I have to make progress towards my one thing that ladders up to where I want to get to the end of the year. Right. Then when I'm clear on my one thing, I then plan my week, and I'll show you a few things that I do to do that. And then I give my plan to my soldier. By the way, this is all me. I'm the general. It's just I'm the general at a certain point in time. And then I'm the soldier at another point in time. What the soldier does is the soldier marches and takes the orders and executes what the general says. They're not revisiting things and rethinking, this is the one thing that was important. No. The general has already done that. There are, again, as I said, it's not the only thing that I'm doing during the week. And then once I have my plan, I then take my plan from the general, and then the general gives it to the soldier. The soldier is also me. So she takes the plan, and her job is execute on it. Her job is not to change what the one most important thing is. Her job is to follow the plan and make sure that that one thing is done. Now, the other thing that the general is doing, she's planning the week, and she's also making sure she's planning the day. So the day before, I'm like, okay, tomorrow, I'm filming this on Sunday. Tomorrow, Monday, what is the most important thing that I need to do tomorrow to get me to my goals? So here I've broken it down in terms of, okay, this is what I want for the year. And then I'm looking at, this is what I want for the quarter, Q1. So that was done. And then this is what I want for the month. And then from the month, we go to the week. So a lot of this is like layered in, and there's nuance, and it took me some time to get clear on all of these things. And then from there, I'm just clear on, okay, this is what I need to do this week. For the purposes of this video, I'm just going to focus on the week and then the day. So super clear on my one thing for the week. There's also a book, The One Thing, that is pretty cool. You can check that out. And then from the week, I go to the day. And so every single day I go into general mode. My general mode comes out like, hey girl, what do we need to do for tomorrow? She sets the plan for tomorrow. And then from there, soldier, she wakes up in the morning, go. And when the soldier is executing on what she needs to do, she's also using time blocks. So here I'm blocking out in my calendar. I'm typically I'm doing it for an hour, which is 50 minutes and a 10-minute break, or I'm doing it for an hour and 15 minutes, which I found works really well for me. So an hour and a half, and then I work for an hour and 15 minutes. I take 15-minute break, and then I jump straight in to the next 75-minute block. So then I come to my day. So my soldier, she's here. She's like starting her day, and I make sure that the tasks that I need to do are inside of a task management tool. So I use a free one. It's called Asana. It has a paid version and a free version. The free version is more than enough for me. So this is what I would recommend. And here you can have all of your tasks in there. and all of your projects. So for example, for 8 weeks, so the next 7 weeks now, I am on a program at the University of Stanford in California. It's an online program. And there I've got a bunch of coursework that I have to do, a bunch of stuff that I have to submit for that. I have to work with groups for some of my coursework. And so what I do with that, I put all of my stuff inside of Asana. I'm going to share with you. This is my actual Asana board for my Stanford task. So I've got one for Stanford. I've got one for doing my YouTube videos. I've got things that I would like to do and I do someday. This is all based on a methodology by David Allen that one of my mentors taught me, which is super dope. What that means is that I'm just like not in my head and like trying to remember everything that I need to do, because my brain and your brain too is not used for storage. Like it's not a storage hub, if I would call it that. It's for processing. You want to be using your brain for creative problem solving, etc., etc. So you just want to make sure that whatever it is that you need for storage, like what do I need to do, how do I do it, what documents do I need, all those things are inside of one place. I use Asana, there's ClickUp, there are other task management tools, but you want to make sure that it's somewhere. I also like Asana because I have it on my phone. So I have the app on my phone, and then I have I make the widget bigger. And so I can see every single day, like what is due for the day. And what I love about Asana, as an example, is, for example, I have someone helping me edit the videos, and we have never spoken. We have worked together for about a month now, and the only conversations that we have are inside of Asana. It's either a Loom video, which is one of the tools I use just for asynchronous communication, which just means I send him feedback when I have time. He comes back to me when he's got time, but we do have due dates for everything that we're doing. And I absolutely love that. It's changed the game for me completely. And now I will only work with people who are disciplined when it comes to using task management tools, because I'm not constantly all over the place, like following up. Did you do this? Did you do that? No. It's all in Asana. You have a due date. If you didn't do it, then there's a problem with accountability. Same to me. And it's just completely changed the way I look at things, and not having to chase people have saved me so much time, and not having to be chased myself. Then the other thing that I use religiously is my calendar. So then I go through, okay, this is my Asana. These are the things that I need to do. Then I go to my calendar and I put in time blocks for when I'm going to do that. So I'm going to share with you what my calendar looks like. So this is a screenshot of my actual calendar. I wake up pretty early to do particularly my focus work for my schoolwork, because that's when I work the best. And then I have a little nap around lunchtime. I know not everybody can follow that schedule, but I've just found that it works for me really, really perfectly. And the reason why I'm sharing that is because I used to feel like there were some people that I would see waking up at 4:30 and going all day and all this sort of stuff. And I'd just be like, oh my God, if I could only do that, how do they do that? And I really wish I knew that they had a lifestyle that allowed them to take a small nap at lunchtime, which is what I do. So I sleep for about an hour in the middle of the day, and then I back on. Okay. And then the other system that I use is something called tacos. And I have loved tacos. So this was introduced to me by one of my mentors a few years ago, and I've modified it a little bit to suit me. So every single week I'm looking at what I'm doing. I'm like, what do I need to terminate? What do I need to automate? What do I need to consolidate? And what do I need to outsource? What that means is, what do I need to terminate? What do I just need to stop doing anymore? It really does not add anything to what I'm doing. What is that? Get rid of it. And this is something that I would say I don't necessarily sit down and have a brainstorming session right now on what that is. What I do very religiously is I am thinking about it every single day. Do I really need to be doing this? Is this really adding anything? Let's think about that. So every single day I'm just ruthlessly checking. And predominantly because my goals are so big for me right now that if I don't do that, then I'll just end up wasting a whole bunch of time on things that don't really matter. There's terminate, there's automate. What can I automate inside of what I do so that I could just save myself time? And then what do I consolidate? What can I do together? So here an example right now on my consolidation, my food prep. Right. So one of my goals is around my fitness and my exercise, etc. And so a big part of that is obviously making sure that my diet is super clean, etc. And I notice I snack a lot if I don't do food prep at the beginning of the week. So that's something that I have consolidated. So food prep is done once on a Saturday. And then the other thing that I've done is I've also outsourced it. I'm in Kenya at the moment. It's something that I've been able to do, just get someone to actually come and help me. So consolidated and then outsource the food prep. And then I just give them everything that I need, everything that I do, and they help with that. All right. So then the other thing that I talked about was the automation. So for the automation, what I've done is for my food prep, because based on like my body fat goals and my weight goals, I've created a chat GPT prompt that actually that helps me create my weekly plan based on the progress that I'm making. So for example, if my body fat goals by XYZ date, I'm not losing it as fast as in the, not as fast as possible necessarily, but at the pace that I would like to, then it adjusts my plan. And so for example, I need to eat more fish rather than eating chicken thighs, because fish has a lot less fat than chicken thighs as a source of protein, something like that. So I have a chat GPT prompt that does that for me. And then there is outsource that we've covered. And then there is systems. So when it comes to systems too, this is what I'm talking about, like creating a system, which is like the general and the soldier method that I told you about. Am I creating a system that for my macros, etc. So every single week, I'm also looking like, what can I actually systemize in my life so that it makes it so much easier, so I'm not thinking about it all the time. And when I look at all of those things, and if this sounds overwhelming, I just want to let you know that these are different ways of working that I have picked up on over the last few years and have been super, super beneficial to me. So if it sounds overwhelming, pick one and start with that. Like, I cannot emphasize. People will say you need to do 5 things, do 4 things, figure out all of this. And you might even put it on the pressure on yourself. But I promise, if you just focus on one thing, do that until it just like locks in, and that's just becomes automatic and becomes what you do. And it typically takes anywhere between a month to 2 months to lock in a habit. You'll hear people say things like 21 days or 66 days, etc. I would say it takes 30 to 60 days, depending on your level of consistency and how you work and all of that. For me, it takes me at least 2 months, so like 60 days for me to have like a solid routine. Like for example, with my YouTube now, I have started creating a system for myself for when I do my scripting, when I do my recording. What does that look like? It was all over the place a little bit in the first month, and now the second month is settling, and I expect by mid-February, third week of February, that will be like super locked in, because then I'll have a habit around it. And I'm very conscious of the systems that I'm creating. I'll have an SOP around it as well, so that it's super clear, gets out of my head, gets onto paper. I can keep making the process better. Like